Hey there, I'm David Cordero and welcome back to the Tip Jar at Pass the Guitar Live, where we share with you our favorite tips to help boost your guitar playing skills. Hey, are you struggling moving between chords? Is it hard to move to the next chord in time? Are these challenges stopping you from playing your favorite songs? Well, the following 3 strategies are going to help you overcome the challenges of moving between chords. These strategies are so powerful that I continue to use them. My students still use them as well, and now you are going to use them. But before we move on, it is important to say that although some of these may sound basic, obvious, or even common sense, they are extremely important, super powerful, and often overlooked. So with no further ado, let's take a look at them. The first strategy is memorize your chords. Memorize the chords, shapes, and their names. I know it sounds obvious, but it is important that you look at a chord symbol and you immediately know their name and where to put your hand on the fretboard, what fingers go where. And you can use many different strategies to memorize. You can even think of shapes. I always associate D major, for example, as you can see here, as an arrow pointing at the sound hole. I also associated G major as I was like flipping off someone. Whatever you can use to help you memorize these shapes so you actually know their names and where each one of your fingers is gonna go, it's gonna be placed on the fretboard. Which strings and which frets, that's gonna help you move forward. Why? If you can avoid looking at another place but the guitar, your focus is gonna be 100% on the task of actually playing. So don't rely on having a piece of paper close to you. Pick 2 or 4 chords and start now. Memorize these 4 chords. Memorize these 4 shapes and their names. And you're going to see that moving into a song will be much easier when you can immediately remember those shapes and those chords names. And that leads me into strategy number 2, which you can only really do strategy number 2 if you really accomplish strategy number 1. Strategy number 2 is to memorize chord progressions. I know it's memorize, a lot of memorize, but that's really important because we already have to look at too many places on the guitar. And if we have to look into another piece of paper to remember what is the order of chords that we're playing and how to put your fingers together for each one of those chords, you're going to dislocate too much focus to other tasks that could be accomplished by memorizing. And start small. Memorize a chord progression like this one. 4 measures. First measure we have a G major, second measure we have E minor, third measure we have C major, and on the 4th measure we have D major. Well, before you even try to memorize this chord progression, remember strategy number 1. Do you know these chords names? Do you know their shapes? Do you know how to put them together? If yes, now memorize this chord progression. Now I'm going to take it off. Do you remember which one was chord for the first measure? Which chord did we ended this chord progression on? Which chord followed G major? And who was right after C major? Those things can be done even without your instrument. And if you apply strategies number 1 and 2, even before you start trying to play the chord progression or the song, you're going to see that as you try to play and begin playing the song, you will immediately feel more comfortable. And those 2 strategies are extremely important in order for us to be able to apply strategy number 3, which is to find common fingers and notes between chords and map out our movements. What do I mean by that? Let me explain. Let's zoom in here. Now, we had that chord progression here where we have G major on the first measure, E minor on the second, C major on the third, and D major on the last measure. Let's start with the first movement, which is moving from G major to E minor. Let's take a look at the shapes for G major and E minor. Well, as you can see here, G major, we have our first finger on the second fret, fifth string, second finger on the third fret, sixth string, third finger on the third fret, second string, and the fourth finger on the third fret, first string. And for E minor, we have our first finger on the second fret, fifth string, and our second finger on the second fret, fourth string. Notice that our index, our finger number 1, is in the same string, on the same string and in the same fret for both E minor and G major. So here you found a common finger and a common note. So what are you going to do now? Every time you have to move between G major and E minor or vice versa, you're going to anchor your index down because you know you don't have to move, and just move the necessary fingers to the right place. So from G major, I'm going to lift fingers number 4 and 3, and then move my second finger right under finger number 1 to the second fret, fourth string. On the other way around, I'm going to move the second finger from the second fret, fourth string, back to the third fret on the sixth string, and then place my fingers number 3 and 4 back on the second string and first string, third fret. Now let's take a look at the following chords. From E minor, we move to C major. Let's take a look at the shapes. E minor, we already know the shape. And in C major, the shape is we have first finger on the first fret, second string, second finger on the second fret, fourth string, and third finger on the third fret, fifth string. And notice that between these two chords, we do have a finger in common. Our second finger is on the same string and in the same fret for both E minor and C major. We found one more anchor here, now between E minor and C major. And every time you move between these two chords, you can keep your second finger down. That will help you move less and also allow you to map out that movement. Like, what are you going to do when you move from E minor to C major? Well, you are definitely going to keep that second finger in place. And you can start by either bringing your third finger to the third fret, fifth string, or bringing your index down to the second string, first fret, and then putting your third finger there. Understand the movements that you have to make. Well, the last movement that we have to make for the chord progression that we have here is from C major to D major. And as we see here on D major, we have first finger on the second fret, third string, second finger on the first string, second fret, and the third finger on the third fret, second string. We don't have any common notes or common fingers in between C major and D major. What can we do? Let's map out the shortest way and most efficient way to move from C major to D major. Notice that my finger number 2 and 3 are already on the frets that they're gonna have to be for D major, and that they are also equally distant in the same level when it comes to the strings that they are going to be when we go to D major. All we have to do is move each one of these fingers down 3 strings. 1, 2, 3. Notice that I kept my shape, and now I am almost done with D major. The only thing I have to do is move my index to the third string, second fret, and I have my D major. That's what I call super efficient map out. And the same thing works when we move from D to C. I'm going to move out my index, and this shape here, I'm going to move up 3 strings. 1, 2, 3. And now I bring back my index to that first fret on the second string. And there you have it. 3 strategies that will help you overcome the challenges of moving between chords. But before you guys go, I want to leave you with one more tip. Make sure that you practice your chord progressions first with whole notes, long notes, and slowly, and gradually bring the tempo up and change those whole notes to half notes, quarter notes, and so forth. Don't forget that playing the guitar is just like doing any physical activity. You have to increase the difficulty gradually. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let us know in the comments if these strategies are actually helping you. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, click on that bell, and like this video. Your support is extremely important for us. My name is David Cordero, and this was The Tip Jar. I'll see you on the next video.